All right, starting a new stream. Nobody here yet, I don't think, and hopefully it's working. But Bent's here. Hopefully people come back. Hi, Bent. Just you and me right now. Kind of a bummer. Some folks asked some questions. I was going to wait here to answer a couple questions that people asked me up in the super chat thing. Let's see if we can get some good amount of people back online here. Ben says, I'm here and emailed you about tomorrow, Pete. No problem, dude. We will do tomorrow. Henrik's here. There's a couple folks that were in the top chat, Andrew and Chris Collins guitar, and they've asked me a couple questions. So I'm just, if you guys are here, I don't know that you're here, maybe just give me a shout out in the chat. And I want to, in the side there, and I want to address your questions here in a second. I just want to make sure you're here. So I'll just wait for a second here for Andrew and Chris. While we wait, what do you think about Tweed amps? Is the Batigues? I love them. A Tweed Deluxe is a beautiful thing, and one of my favorite amps I've ever played through was a Victoria Double Deluxe, double power. Since it's early on my thing with 6v6 tubes. It was one of the early amps. The 4 6v6s. I mean, I've owned a few of them. The Kelly, the divided by 13 FTR 37, but the Double Deluxe I never had one, but that's what it is. It's 4 6Vs and it sounds great. So, Tyler says the red sir behind me is sweet. Thanks, man. So I just want to make sure Andrew and Chris Collins guitar are here before I answer a question. We got 129 people back online. Hopefully more and more folks show up. I hope so. What a bummer about this stupid chat. I guess I do have internet problems sometimes, but I think it's just a question of like, I think last week we had a power surge here and my net cut off, but I don't know why it stopped this time. I guess we should be happy it works at all. Favorite boost pedal into a plexi or super lead? Depends what you're doing. Treble booster can be a beautiful thing. A Coco boost can be a great thing. A clean boost can be a great thing as long as the amp isn't too dirty and the boost isn't set too high. But something like, I remember doing a video for the Spark Booster by TC that sounds really cool with my SL68. Mid boost can be great, like the Coco boost. If nobody's ever tried a Coco boost, give that a try. It's a killer thing. Even something like this, the EQ, when you listen to the solo sounds I got, imagine it in front of a plexi. You're hearing it in front of the PT15. It's not miles off from a similar sort of martially tone. Yeah. Oh, what's the story with the Brian May guitar? Says Danny. Okay, I'll tell that real quick. And I'm just waiting here to see if Andrew and Chris Collins, I've got your questions. I took a picture here because I didn't want to miss your guys' questions. And you were in the top chat. And so Andrew and Chris Collins, if you're here, give me a shout out so that I know you're here, and then I'll answer your questions because you guys were kind enough to do that. Oh, and a Ted Green story, right? Yeah, Chris is here. Okay, Chris. I'm going to answer your question in just a second here. I'm just going to... That Brian May guitar over there, it actually belongs to John Shanks, and he lent it to me to do the Ultimate Queen celebration gig with Mark Martel. It's a really, really accurate, handmade. It's not one of the Brian May, like the made overseas ones. Well, probably made overseas. I don't know where the guy is. I think the guy made, I don't know where that guitar came from. I think England, maybe. But it's a super duper accurate as far as the tremolo and construction and everything, and the neck is like an inch thick. It's crazy, but that's the Brian May guitar. Belongs to Shanks, actually, a friend of mine. And he's plays with Bon Jovi and producer and stuff. Awesome. Well, 185 people online. We got at least half you folks came back. That's nice. Okay. And I'm going to tell my Ted Green story in a sec here. Chris Collins' guitar, though, said, if you could have only 3 guitars, which would you choose? Also, which 3 UAD plugins? If I could have only 3 guitars, I would have to choose, I guess, my Signature Sir. Oh, probably my... It's hard. Probably my old Strat. My Signature Sir, my old Strat, and my 335 or 335 or my Gil Yaron Les Paul. That would have to be a toss up between those. Those are the three. And thanks, Chris, for doing the top chat. Oh, which 3 UAD plugins? Excuse me. I would have to choose as far as a UAD plugin. God, there's so many to pick from. UAD, specifically UAD plugin. Ocean Way Studios is pretty awesome for roomy sound. It's pretty rad. I haven't been using it that much lately, but it is great. Capital Chambers is awesome too. These are awesome sounding reverb plugins that I'm talking about. What else? UAD. I mean, maybe the 1073. Maybe one compressor like a LA2A, because you kind of need that. I say good reverb, good compressor. You got a lot of really. Oh, the SSL I use on almost every mix. SSL mix bus compressor from them. So that's another great one. Can the wetter box be used to create a kind of dry wet rig through one speaker? Says JJ Kane. Yes. Yeah, I did that in my video for it. Yeah, essentially you can just set your effect 100% wet and then use it to mix in effect and keep your dry tone intact. That's kind of what, but you can use it in a couple different ways, but what you're asking, yeah, you can do that with it. Couple other folks have some questions. I'm going to tell my Ted Green story, but apart from SM57, what mics do I advise for recording amps? It's nice to have one ribbon. I always recommend it. You know, I have an M160 in here. Bear mic. ST170 is a great inexpensive one from Sterling Audio. But if you have a 57 and one ribbon, you're pretty good to go, I think. Okay, so Ted Green lived in this apartment in Encino forever. He was this, guitar guru guy, unbelievable guitar player, musicologist, really, almost like an unbelievable brain. And you'd go over there and he'd be like bare feet, and he'd always have on like it's kind of disheveled. If anybody took lessons from him, they know what I'm talking about. But he just kind of like this guru dude, and you'd go walk in his apartment, and it was crammed with stuff. He had stuff everywhere, and just enough space to kind of walk through the living room, like these little pathways kind of, and there'd be books just stacked up against the walls, books and stuff, and guitar parts and amps and things. And there'd be a neck sticking out of here and there, and you kind of had to walk through this narrow pathway through all this stuff. And, he had another room where he'd sit, and anybody's taking lessons from him will know he was always watching a TV show, a news program or something, and he was recording things on videotape all the time. Always recording and cataloging things on video. And he had stacks of videotapes of shows he'd recorded of things that were like, things he was interested in. And these books all over the place and stuff. And I remember, but the one thing I remember in particular about taking lessons with Ted was this one day, because a lot of what it was a little above my head because he was such a genius, right? Little, that's an understatement of the year. But he was the kind of guy that could sit there in front of you and you'd say, okay, Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles or something. He'd use it as an example, and he would go, it goes like this. And then he would play the song, but it's not like he'd ever learned it or rehearsed it. He just knew how it went. Anybody ever meet somebody like that? Or they're just like, it's a little like if you watch Henry in the Classic Rock Show vlog that I just did recently and put up, he starts playing he's playing Billy Joel. He knows all the songs, but he's never really learned them. He's not even playing them in the right key. He's just playing them correct, kind of, it sounds like the song because he knows how to play it. He's a really, really high functioning, like, check it out if you towards the end of the video, but it's not like it's, he just has a musical mind. And so Ted was like that, and he would play the guitar and play a song, and all the parts would be there. You'd hear all the harmony and everything and the bass line moving and stuff, but it's not like he'd ever learned it. It's like next level shit, So I remember that about him. The other thing I remember about him was this one day that I was in there and I was talking about his guitar, because he has really cool guitars, and he didn't give a shit about vintage kind of correct, he'd modify things, but he'd have like 52 Telly or an old Gretsch or something lying around, a Guild from the 50s, and And I was talking to him about guitars one day, and I just like I do with you guys. So we were talking. I was like, oh yeah. So what is that pickup and this, that, and or what is and how do you and just talking like we do. And he goes, just a minute, I'll be right back. And he goes in the other room, and he got a book, and it was called The Ultimate Guitar Book, I think. And he gets this book, and he sits down in front of me, and he starts writing. And he's writing, and he hands me the book, and I look, and I look at, and he's written on and he's given me the book, and he's personalized it and said, Peter, I really love how much that you love and appreciate guitars, or something like that, so, this is, I don't know, said something like that. I should bring the book, and I'll show you what he wrote in it. And then he signed it, Ted Green dated it, I think, and and it was magic, It was like, I don't know how else to describe it. It was like he had he just was like stoked on how much I love it, And I get that from people, from, you guys, or from, that kind of like, isn't it great? Like we have this mutual love for, and so I have that book, and it's on my bookshelf at home that he handed me that day. That's the one I remember, that moment more than anything, because, it was really special. That was cool. Anyways. Okay. Let's see. I heard you had a mod done to your PT15 on channel 1. Can you describe what it was in case other owners want it done? That's David Traver Music. What it is it opens up the clean channel just a little bit and gives more of a, if you want to say, like the blackface kind of Fender sparkle. It's not done by adding a bright cap, though. It's just a one part. And it was a running change we made on the amps, actually. So there's some early ones that don't have it. And you might like it one way, or you might like it the other way. It just depends. But it was for folks that found that that it sounded a little, like if you found like, oh, I wish it did a little bit more of the blackface Fender thing, because it's really kind of a dumbly clean channel, which can be more mid-range centric. And I found early too that I was like, I think I want a little bit more sparkle, a little bit more openness out of the channel. And the beauty of doing it the way that John actually did it is the one simple, very easy part that either at SIR, if somebody wanted it done, or at an authorized warranty repair place could do it. It'll take any competent tech 10 minutes to do. And it's done down the chain in the amplifier, not in the front end of the amplifier. And so what that means is you can still hit it with any overdrive or fuzz or whatever, and it's not going to really change the response of it. The only thing about adding a bright cap to an amplifier or something in the front end, in the preamp, is that many times then you hit it with an overdrive. It's like, oh, it's got all the sparkle, isn't it awesome? And then you hit it with a drive, and it just sounds like a swarm of bees all of a sudden, because you're blowing up the front end of that where you added a bright cap or whatever. This doesn't do that at all. So it gave me exactly what I wanted out of it. And most of the folks out there that have done it, if anybody felt like they needed it, they've added it and they've gone, oh my God, that's awesome. It does exactly what I want now. So some people might not want it. Depends what you play. If you play a Tele or a, brighter Strat with low output pickups or something, you might love the tone just as is, because it's going to be, dialed for the guitar. But anybody with humbuckers, or somebody that wants a little bit more of that kind of open blackfacey thing, it'll tend to give you that. So that's it. And you could I would just say contact cs@sir.com if you're interested in having it done to an amplifier. But anyway, they all come done like that now, because we decided it was preferable. So as with anything, we reserve right to make a running change or something like that. In if you look at any amp from Friedman, or there's a million different incarnations over the years of the, he tweaks, and then you can send an amp to him to have all the updates done if you want. But people might like the early, just how it is. That's the only thing that we've actually changed on the amplifier since its release. And it's a very, very, very simple, minor, one little cap thing. So that's the story. Anybody interested in that, just cs@sir.com, and they will handle it for you. High functioning autism, says Bent, maybe talking about Ted. And I would tend to, I'm not a doctor with a diagnosis, but it's certainly possible. He was a really, really amazing And most of the people that I've come across, I think that that's a possibility that are that high functioning, with it. Just you're like, this person's on another level. It's an amazing thing sometimes with these folks. But David says, what are the IRs you're using in your PT15 currently? Just the standard ones that it comes with. I've experimented a little bit with replacing a couple of them, a couple, favorites and stuff like that. But the ones that I tend to use the most are, to be honest, are Bank 1, Slot 1, which is just Celestion's greenback 25 watt, 412, 57, and 121 mix. They call it the high gain mix. And that's the one that I use the most, along with Slot 4. Bank 4 Slot 1 and Bank 4 Slot 2. That's an open back Bella cabinet with a Celestion V-type speaker, 112 cabinet open, and Slot 1 will be a little thinner, a little brighter, a little chimier. Slot 2 will have a little bit more warmth to it, and that's in Bank 4. And so those are the main ones I use: greenback 412 and the open back 112 for the clean channel. That's the main ones. Okay, so I'm at 16 minutes in on this chat after I restarted it, so I'm gonna go in about 5 minutes, guys. But I'll answer a few more and then I'll split. Sorry, I had to split into 2 videos again this week. Andrew says, "Oh, Andrew, there you are. Can you ping Pete with my question again?" Yes, Andrew. Let me do yours. Find it here. I actually took a photo of it. There's my photo of your question, Andrew. And you were asking, been playing through a JC120 forever and now JC40. I want a tube-driven head. Thoughts on running that through the JC for when I'm not recording, something like a Jubilee. Through the JC? I don't think so, man. I think an amp like that, you're going to want to have its own dedicated cabinet just because it's such a thing. The speaker cabinet is such a big part. Like if you want a Marshall sound, you need a closed back, with something like a Greenback or V30 for something like a Jubilee. You're not going to want to run it into the... so consider getting a dedicated cabinet for that amplifier. Not, those are cool amps though, the JC1. I mean, it's a thing, but it's like a great thing, JC40, JC120. But yeah, make the Marshall its own thing. Think like Billy Duffy from the Cult. JCs for his clean and JCM 800s for the dirty sound, with the appropriate speaker cabinet. That's kind of what you want, I think. Yeah. Yeah. What else we got here? Any other questions? How much work are they doing these days at Conway, Ocean Way, Capitol, Sunset Studios? I think the ones that are still around are probably, I don't know if they're thriving, but, Capitol Studios is probably always going to be there, I hope. Conway, is Conway still around? I don't even know. Sunset Sound, it seems like people are always there recording. You always I see posts on my friends there doing sessions and stuff like that. Certainly East West here in LA always seems like there's stuff going on, so, which is the old cello. And, I think that the ones that manage to survive, there's not as many of them around, and people still want to go to rooms like that. I mean, NRG's still here, not far from my studio, really. So there's always going to be maybe it was just like a correction, as the industry kind of changed. Couldn't support quite as many, but there'll always be a few of those rooms. You want to go do drums somewhere that sound like a record, you still got to go to a room. I mean, unless you do some sort of, thing like I do, using, the Superior 3. A lot of people ask me about my drums these days. I'm using Superior 3 all the time these days. Great sounds. Like on the demo I did for the heavy sound for this pedal recently, it's Superior 3 using the black kit, which is like the Metallica Black Album sound, I guess. A lot of attack on the kick and all that, but it sounds pretty awesome. But So, okay, Stephen Douglas mentioned that Bogner's quote was, "Great playing, Pete. The amp looks very familiar. Too bad nobody respects intellectual property anymore." So that's, Reinhold maybe was a little upset with the fact that the company did his Bogner Ecstasy and recreated it in the plugin. It is, I mean, I get it, and I sympathize with him, but it's also like, it's true. Nobody actually respects it anymore, do they? They do like plug-in versions of everything or modeled versions of everything in a Helix or an Axe Effects, and it's just kind of the way that it's gone. But there's still no substitute for a physical thing that you plug in to a speaker cabinet, really. I mean, unless you're using bias amp head or something like that, or a powered Kemper or whatever, I don't think a plug-in, I wouldn't, it's just my opinion, but we have a plug-in version of the PT100. And if anything, I think, I'm trying to look on the bright side. If anything, I think it's made people appreciate the amp more because they try it. And a lot of people have said it's their favorite UAD amp simulation. They're like, wow, this amp, like, this is the best one out there out of all the Marshall ones and everything that's available. So it's great I got to say, to be honest, actually, the plug-in sounds so damn good. The one from Russia, the Mercurial plugin, that it made me kind of appreciate an Ecstasy again and maybe think I need to revisit it. On that note, I have actually, if Reinhold hears this, I have a Synergy module, the new Ecstasy module up there in a Synergy preamp. You can't see it because it's kind of dark, but there's a Syn 2 up there with the Ecstasy module, and I was getting some great tones out of it last night. It doesn't have the plexi switch on it, which is kind of weird. It's got a schizo switch, which wasn't one of the way I remember maybe that's what they call the switch in an Ecstasy to change kind of the gain voicing. But anyway, in one of the positions that it was kind of like the middle gain position on the red side, I could get really, really, really close to matching the tone actually of the PT15's gain channel. And I was A/Bing them directly with my amp switcher and going back and forth. And I was surprised about that because I always think of the Bogner voicing as having more low mids and being a certain thing. But I was very, very close, and it sounded great. So, at least there's the Synergy way to go and stuff like that. And, Reinhold, I love his the drive, the Bogner Blue, which I had mentioned. I put up a link for the I think I can put it up here again if anybody wants to watch. There you go. It's in the chat now. That's us playing Who Are You by The Who, the classic rock show band that I just did a tour with. And I'm using the Bogner Blue into the clean channel in the PT15 for that sound, as well as a Wampler mini Ego comp. So that's what that sound is. Check it out. I know you like the UA plugins, but have you tried any IK Multimedia? Have you seen or tried the Sunset Sound Studio Reverb? I have not. I've tried a bunch of different Amplitude stuff. I used to use their bass amps a lot. I tried the Hendrix Amplitude. I don't know why I couldn't get that out, but which I thought sounded pretty cool. So. Well, somebody's up there in your top chat. It's Rich. He says, combo amp question. I blew a screen resistor twice on a 64 Fender hand-wired custom deluxe reverb amp. I run the volume at 5 on first input of the normal channel. Pedals for overdrive. Am I pushing my amp too hard? You blew a screen resistor? I'm not an amp tech, so it'd be a question for Sir, to be honest. Why don't I ask him, see if he responds? He probably won't, but if he does, I'll have a better answer for you. I'm just going to send him a text and ask him exactly what you just asked me. If someone is blowing a screen resistor on a 64 Fender hand-wired custom deluxe reverb, they run their volume at 5 on the first input with overdrives, what do you think the problem is? Someone is repeatedly see if he gets back to me. I'll stay on for a few more minutes. I know I said I was going to go and I'm 24 minutes in, but we're having fun. There's nothing else to do. There's nowhere else to go. Well, I could play with all this stuff in here, which I should do soon. Just get some work done, but see if he hits me back. Moving down to the bottom of the chat here. Let's see. Ben Coombs is putting up a link for tomorrow's hangout for those interested. We're going to do a show, Canadians Unite, tomorrow, 5 p.m., right, Ben, on Ben's channel, Pacific Standard Time. Ben's been my faithful moderator here for a long time, and I'm going to hang out on his channel, and we're going to have a good discussion, hopefully tomorrow night. So hope you guys can make it. What's the best way to record guitar silently or low volume late at night, says Gavin. Why? The best way is the PT15 IR amplifier from Sir, in my opinion. Barring that, the PT100 plugin from Universal Audio. How else do you do it? Well, you could use a Helix or an Axe-Fx, things like that. But I love my amp for recording quietly through headphones. Harley says it looks like the stream on his end is getting wonky. That sucks. I'm sorry. If it goes away, I'm just going to jet next time, guys, if it cuts off again. But Conway is still going, says T-Mitz. That's the answer to that. It's still working. Didn't get a text back from John. I'll tell you what I'll do. When he hits me back, if he doesn't hit me back now so that I can respond in the live stream here to your question about the 64 Fender, I will put a post on my Facebook when I get off of here, because he will get back to me and probably give me an answer to that. So I'll put a post on my Facebook page, my music page, and tell you what he said about the 64 Fender, the blowing the screen resistor. If you're not changing the tubes, it's probably I would say it's a bad output tube if you're just replacing the screen resistor and leaving the tubes in there. But I'm not a damn tech, so that would be my guess. Sasha Boo Boo is in the top chat, and he says, music, money, and hang. Thanks for the advice. Great guys, but no money to play Brown-Eyed Girl. Unfortunate son, you saved me. So Sasha Boo Boo is talking about my mantra for gigs, which is music, money, and hang. Any two of those, and you've got a good gig. One of them is not enough to keep you interested and happy. The music's great, but the money sucks and the hang's terrible, like the people are mean. You're not going to care. You're going to be pissed off playing good music, and you're going to be broke. If the money's great and the hang is great, but the music sucks, well, you're playing music with your friends and you're making good cash, and you'll be like, yeah, this is still fun playing these crappy songs. Got any three of them? Any three of them? Got all three of them is what I meant to say. Music, money, and hang. That's a great gig. Try not lose that gig. Hang on to it. Yeah. Oh, John read my question. Let's see if he writes back. Let's see here. Ben says he worked in studios in Miami, Florida, and Pittsburgh in the 90s. He misses real Neve preamps. I do too. I like them. Wait a minute. I have some here. I have the BAE 1073 MP with the Steve Stevens mod. I use it all the time. Okay, let's see. What else we got here? That's the beauty of tube amps. Simple fixes in most cases, unless they are abused. Yeah, it's probably a simple fix for that Fender, I would think. Tone for Days says he is an amp tech. Tell us, Tone for Days, what's the issue with the screen resistor? Maybe he's got a good answer for that one. Probably too high screen voltage, says Tone for Days. Common in older amps. Check the B+ versus screen voltage and check the tube data sheet. Yeah. Could it be like tubes that aren't up to the task of the high screen voltage? Is that possible? Because they're 6Vs, right? So if they're like crappy 6Vs, isn't that a problem? Like maybe he should use JJs because they'll handle really high screen plate voltage, screen voltage. I don't know. Or am I talking out of my, you know what? Oh yeah, would love to hear about the Vi module. I have it there. It's in that rack back there. Beautiful clean sound on it. Wasn't expecting that. It's got a great, like really a lot of sparkle. Like you can make it darker too, but I wasn't expecting the really, really, really nice clean sound that you could drive up to the edge of breakup and get a really great. And I guess he uses that a lot, because then I went and watched the Sweetwater video. We're talking about the Synergy Vi module. Sorry. Yeah, really nice. The lead tone has this kind of, you like with anything, you get used to it after a minute, but it does have a unique scoop to it that's kind of distinctive. It's different than my amp. My amp's got a lot more. It sounds like the mids are scooped in a, but it's not unpleasant. It's just different. I'm gonna make a video of it. I'm gonna make a, do a probably in the Sin 1 using the PT15 as a power amp. There, John got back. So now I've got an answer about that 64 Fender. He says, have they changed tubes? Power tube, arc socket, bias incorrect, issue with the build or oscillation. What does the scope say? Not sure. Someone asking on my live stream. So those are John's answers about what to check. Either power tubes, an arc socket, the bias could be incorrect, or issue with the build or oscillation. So that's what you would get your tech to check. Yeah. And I would recommend in an amp like that, the JJs. I mean, I just find that they're really robust and they don't go. I mean, I did a tour with the PT15 with the JJ 6Vs and they're super reliable. I know they're like really, really good tube, robust, well made. Yeah. Somebody's recommending more guitars. The TAD Tube Amp Doctor 6V6 GT STR tubes. Don't know what they are. Are they made in China or are they could just be JJs? I'm not sure on that tube because TAD's a rebrander. So. Hey Pete, does a dry bell Unit 67 work well with a dirty channel as it does with a clean channel? Kind of can be pretty cool with a dirty channel too, based on your recent very cool rig rundown. Yeah, I mean, it's a compressor too, but you can dial back. You can make the compression barely, you can make it mainly like a bit of a range master style thing, really, and a clean boost. So, yeah. But anyways, there's John's answer. He says, you can say that. The 3 texts. Once again, power tubes, arc socket, bias incorrect, issue with build or oscillation. So I was going to say it's either power tube, an arc tube socket, or the bias is incorrect. Yeah. Yeah. What else we got here? Just take that amp to a good tech. Obviously, it has an issue, says Aquila. Yeah. Okay, well, a couple more here, and then I'm splitting. I'm sure you've played both, so I'd like to get your opinion on it. Is an $800 Univibe that much different sounding from, let's say, a $200 one? I mean, an original Univibe, there's always something with the originals that it's just like, oh, there it is. That's that thing. The best one that I've found is probably, that's because I don't, it's like they're huge and they're unruly. And it's like carrying around a real Echoplex compared to the pedal. Yes, it's cool. Do you want to do it? I don't know. It's like, I'm probably not going to take one around to a club or two on tour. I'm just not that guy. So I'll use the Echoplex pedal on my board. So what would I use? I would use the Vibe Machine, I think it's called, from that company in Croatia that I always forget the name of. What the hell is it called? Same people make the Unit 67. Dry Bell. Thank you. Dry Bell. Great Vibe clone in a very small pedal. It's good enough for me, man, to be honest. So is it a $600 difference and worth the extra huge? No, not for me. If you're doing a Robin Trower cover band or something, maybe you have to have it, or Hendrix or something, the original. It's not worth it to me. It's just too big and unruly. Just like a tape echo. I'm too old. I'm too old to care. I love them though. I don't own one. I would love to have. I say that, and then it's like one day I went over to Sir's place, and his son Kevin has a real, because he's young and crazy. He has a real what the hell is that? Benson, an Echo Rec that he paid like $4,000 for. And I'm like, what the heck? $4,000? And then I plug it in, I go, oh my God, it's amazing. It is amazing sounding. It's luscious and incredible. And, and it's like, oh, I remember thinking like you could build your whole career around this sound, like kind of like the Edge did with a Memory Man. Like your whole thing could be this in front of a great clean amp or whatever, this Benson thing. And just, because it's really inspiring. But do I have a recommendation for better tubes? I appreciate the input, says Rich. Or anyone have a recommendation for better tubes? The best you can do these days is just really tested from a great, like a place like Doug's Tubes. or the tube store up in Canada, just matched, tested, and buy that. Like I say, the JJ 6v6s, great tube. EL34s, great tube. Like they seem really consistent, not a lot of problems, and they sound good. If you want an EL34, I would recommend these days the Electro Harmonics. For whatever reason, the JJs started failing, but JJ makes a great 6v6. Who knows why? That it's like that. 12AX7s, tough these days. Like Chinese ones are my favorite as far as the sound goes. I don't like JJ's 12AX7. Dark. Ugh, sounds like blanket over the amp. And I don't want that. I'd rather turn down the treble control. William says he owns 2 sets of Thorn buckers. Is there a schematic available to wire them your signature way? You could probably contact customer service at sir.com and ask them for a wiring diagram for that, I would think. Just hit up the cs at sir.com and they'll send you a wiring diagram, I'm sure. Tell them what you got. You want to put them in a guitar like mine with a 5-way, and I'm sure they'll send you the way to do it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh my God, Benson, ever tried an Echo Sex or Echo Sex Baby? Says T-Mits. I have, yeah, I have, and I think they're really good. Like them. I'll tell you that the original though, that sounds, I don't know what it is. This is 3D thing going on. Jason Carter wants to see my Lake Placid, but I can't get up. I'm too old. It's back there. Okay. All right. How can I not? You just appreciate guitars. It's like that story I was talking about Ted earlier. I do love this guitar. It sounded good on that video I did with it this week, right? I used it in the something about the color of the neck with the Lake Placid blue really works. I'm growing very, very fond of it. A great feeling neck on this guitar too. We need an American tube maker right now, says Guitar Brothers. Hey, we need an American maker of ventilators right now. We need an American maker of, well, I guess 3M, but of masks. Oh, yeah. Okay. Joe Harvey 84 says 12AX7 is overrated like EVH. Joe, go stand in the corner until you're ready to behave. Turn around. When you're ready to play nice, come back. Yeah. He fell for it again, says Peter. I did. Yeah, that's true. Are you getting rid of your Sir Hedgehog? No. It's the spot where my Hedgehog goes, which is up there in my rack, is kind of it's the easiest one to kind of get to and do things with, and also use in videos and stuff. So it's the kind of interchangeable one. So my Hedgehog's right down here. No, I don't want to get rid of it. It's my only Dumble style amp, really. And it's got a great tone for that smooth Dumble thing. Yeah. Okay. Be safe, everyone. Next week. Definitely be here next week. And see you guys next time. Definitely. I should probably split and get a little bit of work done. So you guys come see me and Ben Coombs tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific time. And we will be online on Ben's channel. Ben can give you the information. And until then, we'll see you. Rock on, people. Have a great week. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you all. Stay safe out there.